My last deep bite patient today is an adult patient again, but a young adult patient. Now, he came to me, he was a 25-year-old male patient who came to me saying, I don't like my smile, and he barely smiled for his photograph. He was a class 2 division 1 subdivision malocclusion. He was class 2 on the right side. His deep bite was almost like 5 millimeters of an overbite. He had a cant, a pretty severe cant. He had an exaggerated curve of spee, spacing in the upper anteriors, crowding in the lower anteriors, lingually tipped teeth on the upper right side, the incisors and the canine, and his midlines were not coincident. Now, when you look at his intraoral photographs, you can appreciate the can, the retroclination and the lingual tipping of the upper right incisors and canine, and the severe deep bite. He had about 44 aligners, upper and lower. In the OPG, you can appreciate the amount of uprighting that is needed in the upper right incisors and canine. You can also appreciate the amount of exaggeration of the curve of spee in the lower arch. Now, when I treated this patient, we were following a 2-week change protocol. And at that point, this patient was changing his aligners every 2 weeks. Now, the treatment plan for him was class 2 correction with unilateral elastics only on the right side. That's another benefit. You can give unilateral elastics in patient. Now, in this patient, the cant is also towards the right side. I would be very scared to give unilateral elastics in a patient like this, but we gave it and it worked. And it did not make the cant worse. We planned relative and true intrusion of the upper and lower anteriors to reduce the overbite, some extrusion of the premolars to level the curve of spee, correcting the cant by doing relatively more intrusion on the upper right side, correcting the midline with some amount of lower IPR, and finishing with well-coordinated arches. Again, it's a young adult. We want an ideal class 1 occlusion with an ideal overjet, overbite, and also good cant correction. Now, his first clin check that came in. If you see, he's got some power ridges here. That's good because we want the torque. But there's a severe amount of movement of the upper right incisors and no attachment on the canines, where there is a lot of movement of the upper right canine as well. The only attachments I have are these 2 small attachments and 2 small attachments here in the lower. Now, what you need to know is when you have a power ridge, ideally, you should have some sort of an attachment on the tooth adjacent to it, especially when it's like so much of a movement planned in. So the first red alarm was the canine has a black movement and there is no attachment on the canine. Plus, there's a lot of torquing and there's no attachment on the upper canine. The other thing that I looked at was there was hardly any posterior attachments in this patient. There were only 2 attachments per side, and we were planning a fair bit of leveling of the curve of spee. Now, in such a patient, there's no other attachment, then ideally you should look at adding some horizontal beveled attachments to help with premolar anchorage, or if you're planning premolar extrusion. So what was the next clin check that we looked at? This was my final clin check that I approved. So now I added an attachment on the upper right canine. I also added precision hook for elastics on the upper right side. Some extra attachments, you can see a lot of extra attachments now added to get predictable bite opening. And of course, it's the same amount of bite opening that we've planned almost. In the lower, a lot of relative intrusion or proclination was planned. And of course, you can see that when you give a precision hook on the molar, you want to add an attachment there to get good retention. On the left side, on the upper front, you can see the occlusal view. There's no contacts. There's hard contacts posteriorly. This is how I usually like to finish my deep bite cases. Again, canine bite ramps because there was a lot of incisor intrusion in the upper incisors planned. On the left side, I did add some attachments on the lower molar and the second premolar as well. Some IPR in the lower to do the midline correction. Now, when we're looking at the upper incisor, there's a fair bit of intrusion. Now, in this case, we are doing simultaneous torquing and intrusion. This is different from the first case. Why is that? Because A, the amount of retroclination is not that severe, and B, it's a young adult. So we don't always have to do a staged correction for upper incisor, especially when they're retroclined. Like I saw, in this case, we're doing simultaneous intrusion. This is how the patient looked at the end of the first set of aligners. You can see the gingival margins had aligned. This is what I had planned. But obviously, because this tooth is a short or attrition tooth, the incisal edges were not leveled. And also, we did need more amount of root uprighting. Now, on this patient, on this tooth, we had power ridges. And therefore, The power ridge helps more with torque rather than uprighting. So now we had to build in root uprighting or root control attachment so that I could get the uprighting in place. We did get a very good opening of the bite. Everything else looked good, but this patient did not want restoration. And therefore, now we decided to also level the incisal edges rather than level the gingival margins. And the other modification I did at that point is I overcorrected my bite opening because I felt he needed some more bite opening. And this was another 23 aligners, continued the class 2 elastics, just so that if he needed it, he was almost corrected into a full class 1 on the right side. And this is how he looked at the end. His incisal edges were leveled, his canine inclination, incisor inclinations, root uprighting, everything worked out well. Bite opening maintained, and we got good coordinated arches. And he was definitely smiling much more. These are his comparison photographs before and after. And in the OPG, you can appreciate the amount of root uprighting that has happened and also intrusion and leveling of the curve of speed. That was the sequence in which the cant was corrected over a period of time and the overbite reduced. His original overbite was 4.5 millimeter, and in the second set, it had already reduced to about 1.5 millimeter. So that's the predictability of movement when we are not really overcorrecting the curve of speed. There's no G8 right now in this patient, but still the predictability was good. But yes, I did add anchorage in the posterior for this patient. So that was the pre-treatment. This was the expected at the end. You can see the root control attachments that we had given to help with the uprighting, and that is the actual. So in most young adults, in teens, what you see is what you get. What were my learnings? What really went well was can correction. We did not need any tag. We did not need any special mechanics. And overbite correction went well. Despite using class 2 elastics on the side of the can, the root uprighting and canine talking also achieved was very good. Now, what would I do differently? A, today I would do probably weekly aligner changes if he's a compliant patient because he was a young adult. And B, again, now we had G8. Like in my second plan I did, will overcorrect my curve of speed. I would probably not need to do that anymore. So now that we are finishing with our deep bite cases today, what are some of the tips that I can share with you? First and foremost, we want to customize the treatment goal for each patient, which is achievable and beneficial to the patient and not necessarily an ideal treatment plan. We want to substitute attachments on lower premolars when we are factoring in premolar extrusion or even incisor intrusion. We want to stage upper incisor movements when you have severely retroclined upper incisors. And with G8, we want to reduce the amount of overtreatment that we are building in leveling our curve of speed. This overtreatment should be proportional to the age of the patient. And also we should ask for automatic placement of precision bite ramps.